question again.
What do you want, as a principal of your school, what would you, if you talked about cloud computing, how would you want it to support your school? What ways? Because I think, looking at the research, there's gaps in what we can do in secondary schools with cloud computing.
Yes, it's a kind of holistic solution to schools, if you really understand what it is. Because it is needed in the administrative aspect of the school, it's needed in planning and delivering lessons, it is needed in storing students' data, such as transcripts, personal data, and so on. It's needed in computation of examinations and other things. But then, the challenges are still there, capitalizing in the gaps. The challenges are there. So what I would suggest should be done is this issue of closing the gaps that we're here for. Because, for example, my personal experience as a school principal, there are a lot of fraudulent service providers. Everybody wants to pose as experts in ICT, software developer, internet service provider, web designer. Everybody will come. I am a victim. 2009, we deployed, we subscribed for a website, we subscribed for internet service provider, and so on, only for it to collapse in less than 2 years, and the company nowhere to be found because of the gaps in the regulation. We adopted another one about 2 years after we started using it. We could not access the students' data, transcripts, we had to call. We tried calling back the service provider. We found out that he was they were middlemen. We got to the actual developer. We had to refer again for him to come and put us back on track to assess such our data. And again, another challenge at the secondary school level today is that most of the teachers and the school administrators are more of, let me say, of 20th century. While our students, the youth, are of the 21st century, they are smarter. They have, I don't know how, we try to keep ourselves above water level, at least for some of us in Abuja and in some modest schools that have the funds and the capacity and the will to adopt the cloud technology and ICT generally. Still, there are such challenges. You find out that they are more advanced and more informed than the teachers. Probably except in rare cases, except the ICT teacher or the database administrator. They are very, very smart. I'm sure you are aware of the fact that this WIAC result that is online, candidates download their results, youth have found a way of altering that result to take for admission purposes, for job purposes, and so on. Because thereafter, when schools receive the printout, you find out that sometimes it's not the same with what they printed out. And that means they would have manipulated that. And in addition to that, because of such gaps, there is issue of monopoly on the part of the service providers. There was one that was holding our neck, that we have to pay X amount. I wouldn't want to call the company, pay X amount again for us to get ABCD. That is reviewing the term on his own, at his own will, without carrying us along. So there are still challenges that this particular gathering is coming at the right time to solve, not only for secondary schools, the education sector in general. That is, there is need to close such gaps. Thank you.
Thank you very much. As the principal of the school, I did have a boy who hacked into the server, and when I caught him, he told me that he is by profession actually a white hacker. That he makes it a habit to hack into servers, and that we should actually really employ his services so that he will help us going forward to safeguard our services. So it's clear that we also have legal, regulatory, fraudulent issues of fraudulence and so on, which I'm sure came out in the report as well. When you saw things like people were worried about the security of their information, and so on. But I'd like to ask a question, and I leave this to anybody on the panel to answer. What about, you mentioned something about the gap between teachers and the students. I assure you the gap is also wide between between the IT teachers, the data processing, and the students. They are cleverer than those people are. They have time to use all these devices for things that you and I cannot think of. And like you said, we are, as they call us, computer, we are immigrants, and they are natives. An immigrant can never know as much as a native. So just opening this to the panel, what can we do concerning upskilling our teachers? Because even in the universities, you find that the students are even cleverer there. I don't know how you are managing them, but I think they're even sharper there. How can we use cloud computing then to upskill our teachers and close this gap, which exists everywhere in the world? Actually, it's not peculiar to us, but it's too wide here.
What government can do, and from my understanding, they are doing through agencies like TechFund, is to provide the funding to the institutions. One of the things I have observed, personal, not official, is that we as Nigerians place value on spending our money and resources on things that we can see, rather than developing skills that